So let's get things started now with track and field and cross country. Their 2023-24 season, both cross country in the fall. We got indoor and spring, or indoor and outdoor to talk about. And I want to kind of preface it with this. The other sports that I've covered so far and the other ones that we'll be covering in the future, that meaning the ones we've covered already, we've did men's soccer, women's soccer, and volleyball. Much more traditional sports in the way that you follow it. The format of regular season, of out-of-conference games, conference tournament, and kind of jumping up or climbing up the ladder of college sports. It's a lot more traditional in that sense. I feel like a lot more people understand it in that way as opposed to how track and field and in an extension swimming. We'll talk about this during the swimming segment next week, but track and field, cross country, it's a lot different, and it makes it a bit different to cover when it comes to doing a radio show and a podcast like this. It's not so much following the wins and losses, which it becomes a bit hard to wrap your brain around at times, but it's all about the milestones, and it's all about whatever happened in the quote-unquote regular season. None of it matters in comparison to the championship meets. It doesn't matter what you did earlier in the season. All that matters is how fast you are on the day of the championship meet, the Horizon League championship meet. It's just about getting that 1 or 2 times or distances. It's all what it comes down to. I find that beautiful about that sport. I was a swimmer in high school. You guys, if you're close to me, you guys know I was a swimmer in high school. It wasn't the best. Got Macomb County cut in every single event, but I have firsthand experience when it comes to those time-based sports with the first, second, and third. Who's fastest? Who's not? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I love that part about swimming, and I love that about track and field as well, because there's no excuses. There's nothing you can say like, oh, I didn't have enough help, or the game plan was no good, or the matchup was no good. We didn't have a good game plan for the matchup. There's no excuses. The race is the race. You all train for the same race, and you do the same race, and you just got to be in front of them, or farther than them, or stronger than them. And it's something so beautiful to me. And especially with the Olympics coming up as well, it's something that's going to be getting a lot more attention soon. So I hope I can help you guys gear up and kind of get the feel and the gravity of what these particular sports, track and field and swimming, are. There's no excuses. It's all on you. Now, of course, there are team elements to it. I've talked to a lot of track and field athletes. Of course, there are team elements to it. There's the internal competition. There's the motivation. And there's the cheering for each other. And there is the coaching element of it as well. But at the end-all, be-all is, are you faster, stronger, etc.? Can you last longer? So I love that. So I say all of that not only to kind of tell you how excited I am to kind of cover these and to see them in the Olympic and see these sports in the Olympics, but we'll cover these teams in terms of their championship meets. So we'll go over the cross country Horizon League championship meet race, because they only do one race, because you do one and you're done and you're gassed. We'll also do the track and field men's and women's indoor and outdoor championship meets. That's how we'll cover this, and we'll cover a little bit of milestones along the way if they come up. But for the most part, it'll just be kind of the results of these meets. So let's get started chronologically with cross country. They start in the summer and they finish up around November, and they kind of go through the fall season. They run through the changing of the trees, the falling of the leaves, if you will. That's their timeline for their sport. So going into the championship meet, Oakland, and I saw that as from studying a lot of this season, is Oakland leans a lot more towards the distance when it comes to their running events, and cross country is where it shines. And we start off with our coverage on a very, very high note, the highest note that we'll see throughout the rest of the show. No disrespect to what we'll be talking about, but Oakland women's cross country started off, or kind of are going to get us started with the Horizon League Championship. Oakland, we had five. Listen, Oakland had 5 championships this year, the most out of the Horizon League. Women's cross country was the first one of them, and I'll kind of go over the not so much the times, but the results rather. So it's essentially when it with women's cross country, and for any of you that are watching, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, because I got to learn this stuff too, and if I'm not right, I would trust you guys are as kind of the athletes in this, but it's essentially you take the entire Horizon League and you do a 6K when it comes to the women's side. That's my understanding of it. And Oakland had 7 runners finish in the top 26. And now I'm kind of adjusting the goalpost for the statistic, but we had 2 in the top 10, 4 in the top 20, and then extending it 7 in the top 26. That's plenty for first place for Oakland University. And going over the individual placements, Grace Nolan, the grad student, 3rd place. Mariah Sheena, senior, 9th place. We got Erin Haggerty, 15th. McKenna Scott, 17th. And then the 23rd, the 24th, and the 26th placement for Oakland University. In addition to that, let's cover the men. Let's go to the men's spot first. The men's cross country, an 8K. They finished that in 3rd place overall. It was Yami Albright that got the 3rd place overall finish for Oakland University, and also Oakland had 5 runners in the top 26. So with all of that and with that great performance, 1st and 3rd place in men's and women's and men's respectively, that added up to not only that Horizon League championship, but Paul Rice, a coach of the Golden Grizzlies, was Coach of the Year. Nominated, awarded, pictured with the award. He's signed, sealed, delivered as Horizon League's Coach of the Year for cross country. So congratulations to Paul Rice. Congratulations to the cross country team for setting things off on the right note for the Golden Grizzlies as far as championships are concerned. Let's now move on to track and field. So track and field, and I say this as if you don't know nothing, as if you don't know anything of what I'm talking about, and you're not as familiar with these sports. I'm your bridge. I'll help you cross. I'll help you cross the bridge. So with track and field, they have 2 seasons. They have the indoor season because it's cold as hell during the beginning part of the winter semester, and then they got the outdoor season when it starts to warm up. Sometimes warms up. So we'll be going through the indoor championships first. We'll start with the men. They finished in 3rd place in the Horizon League Indoor Championship meet. In 1st place, or we'll go over 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place finishes. Eddie Harrell was the only Golden Grizzly to finish in 1st place in any of his events. He finished 1st place in the 800 meter, and it would not be the only time he does it this season. Heads up. 2nd place, we do have three Golden Grizzlies that finished in 2nd place in their event. In the weight throw, it was Romario Jackson who got 2nd place, and also a school record in the weight throw. So not only is he getting silver for the Golden Grizzlies, he's putting his name in Oakland history as the farthest weight throw ever. And I word it that way not only because it's true, but when it comes to school records, this is Division I. And I want to make sure that I'm doing justice the accomplishment that the athletes are getting. A school record means that every single athlete that has come through Oakland University over our 20-plus years, 25 years of Division I, Romario Jackson is the best weight thrower of them all. That's understand that's what it means to get a school record. It means there is nobody better. We've never seen anyone better. So I wanted to make sure that was just portrayed correctly. So Romario Jackson, 2nd place, and the school record in the weight throw. The 1 mile, Yami Albright, to remember, had 3rd place in the men's cross country the Horizon League meet. He got 2nd place in the 1 mile run, and then the 400 meter was achieved. Justice Stewart got 2nd place in the 400 meter run, which, if from my memory of running it, I know it sounds dumb, running it in middle school, running the 400, Dude, it's not a sprint event. I don't understand how. I mean, I wasn't a huge athlete going into my 7th grade track and field season, but I just, from my perspective, it's like that is not a sprint. I don't know how that's a sprinting event, the 400. I know it kind of flirts with distance, but it's just, I was not able to hold that at all. I had to pace myself the entire way. So just the fact that they can sprint that entire time is just so impressive to me. So that's 1 first place finish. That's 3 second place finishes. A 3rd place finish was had by TJ Brooks in the 800 meter. Recall, Eddie Harrell, 1st place in the 800 meter, and TJ Brooks in 3rd place in the 800 meter. So Oakland's got a little bit going in the 800 meter race as a trend. And like I said, Oakland leans a little bit more towards distance events. So in addition to that, I wanted to give a shout out to freshman Carter McAllister, who broke the freshman record for the 3,000 meter run, a 3K. He is now the fastest freshman to ever run the event. Congratulations to Carter McAllister. And he did that multiple times during the season, because if you get the obviously if you get the record early in the season, then just any improvement that you make to your personal best will just become a new school record. So he did that multiple times, and I remember talking about it more than once on the Golden Grizzly Blitz throughout last semester. So that's what we got for the indoor men's championships side. For the women's side, they finished in overall 5th place at Horizon Leagues. Unfortunately, no Golden Grizzlies were had in 1st place in their events, but 2nd place in the 800 meter was Abby Jackson. And again, so zooming out, again, it was Eddie Harrell who was 1st in the men's 800. Now Abby Jackson, 2nd place in the women's 800, and TJ Brooks, 3rd place in the men's 100. It's a lot of in the 800. It's a lot of 800, specialized athletes. We got great players, athletes in the 800 meter. So in addition to that, 3rd place finish was had by the distance relay and the 4x4 relay, and Erin Haggerty in the 3,000 meter. Again, Erin Haggerty, she was 15th place in the women's cross country championship that won the Horizon League. So I always kind of like to see that as to kind of the crossover of, I know it's running. It's still the same sport in that sense, but you have an athlete performing like that in November. Let's say, take Erin Haggerty as our example, 15th place in the 6,000 in November, and then you move to, I believe the indoor championships around March, and then you get 3rd place in a 3,000. I love seeing the same names pop up multiple times at different events at different times at different seasons. I love that about the sport. So that is the women's indoor championship. Also some shout outs. Kavina Finch, freshman record in the 60 meter dash, and Kylie Anderson, freshman record in the 60 meter hurdles, were also had for the women. And a lot of this was me scrolling through the track and field social media page, because obviously they're going to give a shout out to those who have broken records or personal bests and such, and top 3 placements. So that was had for the Golden Grizzlies indoor track and field season. So now let's go into the outdoor season. For the outdoor season, which I would imagine a lot more of you guys picture when it comes to track and field. You picture the outdoor events. And, you see all the field events, because there is a difference in terms of the events that are had between indoor and outdoor, just for facility reasons. Like for certain throwing events, it's just too far for the building to have while there's other events going on. So there's certain throwing events and certain field events that aren't had just for that sense. So the outdoor season really opens that up and allows, specifically us on the Golden Grizzlies, a lot more opportunities to go for gold. So in the outdoor championship, this one was hosted at Oakland University, by the way, and it's the 3rd meet that they hosted this year. Is they had like the Golden Grizzly invites earlier in the season. They had, I believe that was in April. They had the Elaine Lay Invitational. Elaine Lay is the name of the track and field complex in the back of campus. It's the Elaine Lay Track and Field Complex. It's also where they have a lot of club sports and club football. That's the place. That's the football field, near the upper fields by the apartments. I'm speaking to the students here. I understand many of you may not know what I'm speaking of. But so Oakland hosts the Horizon League Championship meet. And I would imagine from doing so, had a little bit of a boost, of a little bit of extra motivation, a crowd, a home crowd. I love home crowds. So I got to imagine, and looking by the results, had to have helped. So let's go over the top 3 finishes for the men's team in the outdoor championship meet. Third place was had overall by Oakland's men's team. First place, we have 4 Golden Grizzlies that were champions in their events. The discus event, Romario Jackson, first place. 3,000-meter steeplechase, Wesley Howell was first place. 1,500-meter, Yami Albright. 800-meter, Eddie Harrell. And let's kind of, again, I'll take these results and let's zoom them out to the entire season. Romario Jackson, remember, he was second place in the weight throw and indoors. They opened it up to have his discus event, and he's first place in that thing, baby. And we're not done talking about Romario Jackson just yet, but Wesley Howell, 3,000-meter. Yami Albright, remember, Yami was second place in the 1 mile in indoors, and he was third place in the cross-country championship meet. And now he's first place in the 1,500-meter run. Eddie Harrell, back-to-back, indoor and outdoor, consecutive sweeping champion of the 800-meter. I wanted to bring that up and point that out as well. In addition to that, in the 800-meter, recall the name T.J. Brooks. He got second place in the 800-meter for the men. And if you remember, indoors, he was third. So, again, 800 indoors was first place Eddie Harrell, third place T.J. Brooks. Outdoor, first place, Eddie Harrell. Second place, T.J. Brooks in the men's 800. They just dominate that event. And that was the only second place finish had on the men's side. Third place, hammer throw, Romario Jackson, third place. Shot put, Alex Mansfield, third place. So, again, those are some of the events they open up. And Oakland able to get more top 3 finishes in that as well. And the men, through all of that, finished third place in the Horizon League. Moving on to the women's outdoor championship meet. The women would finish fourth place in the Horizon League, getting first place in 3 events, all of which are distance. 3,000-meter steeplechase was had by Jennifer Olson. 800-meter was had by Abby Jackson. And 5,000-meter was had by Erin Haggerty. Again, some repeat names here. Abby Jackson, who was second place in the indoor 800-meter, now gets first place in the outdoor. And in addition to that, since we're on the subject, Abby Jackson has multiple of the best 800-meter runs in school history. Throughout the season, she broke the 800-meter record 3 times throughout the season, and now is way up there in terms of Oakland 800-meter. Again, a lot of 800-meter going on here at Oakland. I guess that's our bag. Into second place for the women's in the outdoor championship meet. The 400-meter hurdles was had by Grace Hungerford. Grace Hungerford. And the 4x4 relay won second place. Third place, a shot put, was had by Jamie Geese. And the 1,500-meter was Hannah Fisher. Overall, the women finished fourth place in the Horizon League. So, there's a lot of word soup there. I understand. I want to bring you guys back. If you held on for this long, we appreciate it here at the GioMoShow, but it's a lot of results and numbers and names, and it's not so much, it's hard to picture everything in your mind. And that it just, unfortunately, is a nature of the sport in that way. That's why it's tough to cover track and field and cross country and swimming for more than just a footnote of, oh, we had this many top 3 finishes, we got this place overall. And it's a shame. I wish I could go into more details to a lot of these events, but like I mentioned at the top of the segment, it's time and placement. There's no other discussion. There's nothing else that matters in this sport. You win or you lose. You're fast or you're slow. That is what is decided through these races and contests. So it does make it a little bit difficult to cover, but understand that these athletes train in these specific events nearly every day. You're not going to have, unless you're a decathlete, which is its own insane task, but unless you're one of those, then you specialize in 2 or 3 events, and you train those 2 or 3 activities constantly, refining every step, every pace, every breath you take, refining it and making it perfect so that when you get to that championship meet, you give it your absolute best on that one try. Especially with distance events, you don't get a redo. Sprinting and some of those events, and shot put and the field events, you get multiple tries at it. But when it comes to at least the distance events, you get one crack at it and your body is toast. So you got to make sure that when you do it right. And, you make sure you're spacing and you're pacing and when you pass and what part of the track or the course do you do those passes. All of that is strategically planned for each of these athletes in discussion with their coaches and all that stuff. So understand that all of the word soup that I had in terms of these results is the result of so much trial and error and refining and conditioning. That's part of what I love about sports is it's not just what you see, it's what you don't see that matters even more. And that stuff that you don't see is way less fun, but they still do it. And especially for running. Running sucks. Swimming is at least a bit, is at least a different sensation. And you don't destroy your knees in that sense, but running is very difficult to stick with. For 3,000 meters, for a steeplechase where you're jumping over, I would assume that's called the steeplechase, but you're jumping over the obstacle with dead legs for 3,000 meters. That's tough stuff. And I want you guys to have that perspective going into the Summer Olympics as well. Understand how difficult this stuff is. So, with that out of the way, we have wrapped up our season review of cross country and track and field for this year for the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. Next week will be swim and dive. I know I teased you guys last week. Next week will be swim and dive. And we'll be trying to dress it up a little bit. Perhaps an interview may be on the way for that one. We'll try and get that one going. And especially after Olympic trials have finished up is also kind of why I wanted to push it, because I wanted to make sure that everything was wrapped up and finished. And, athletes are, they got a bit of a moment to rest after Olympic trials. Because I definitely want to talk to one of them about their experience at Olympic trials. So that'll be next week on the GioMoShow for the season reviews. Coming up next after this break, we'll be going into the USPBL, the weekend that they had, my Hopper staying on top, and the bone that I got to pick with that league. We'll get to it real soon on the GioMoShow.